Hey guys, welcome to the next episode in the Let's Play Football Manager 2013 series with Brighton. And as you can see, we are top of the table. Yes. But strange actually, this is the first time we've been top, literally like this round of games for the first time in like ages. But, you know, we're not out of the woods yet. You know, we're not certified title holders yet. You know, there's a lot of football to be played there. And as you can see, you know, top three all within 3 points of each other. Us, Chelsea and Man United, them two really have been battling it out for a while, but we've lately at the around the sort of December period, we just suddenly went on a great run, which I'll go on to in a moment, and we've just rocketed up the table again. So, you know, for ages we weren't actually in real massive contention, but all of a sudden the last 2 or 3 weeks we've actually become in contention again, which is great. So yes, don't think, you know, oh, here we go, he's at the top now and he's gonna stay there, this is getting boring. No, it's not. Chelsea and United are extremely good, and as you can see, our goal difference isn't exactly amazing when you compare it to Chelsea and United. Okay, we're only 3 off Chelsea, but we're a fair amount off United, and even Arsenal, Man City, who actually also shot up the table. They were like 10th at one point. They've shot up. So yeah, let's go over the transfers then. How have we done in the summer? Okay, so players out. Luis Felipe. I couldn't get it. He was a little moaning bitch, so I let him go. He wants, I mean, as you can see, straight away, wants first team football, looking forward to leaving the club, morale abysmal. Why? Because he hasn't played. Why hasn't he played? Because he's 23 years old. If you're a 23-year-old goalkeeper in the Premier League, and unless you are an exceptionally good goalkeeper, a la David De Gea or Pepe Reina, even he was like 26 when we bought him, Peter Cech, Carlo Cudicini, you know, I don't know, Jens Lehmann, David Seaman, an exceptional talent. This guy clearly has the potential to be, but you know what? His attitude fucking stinks. And this is going to be a fucking theme that's going to run through this episode. Absolute insolence and pure attitude problems, which I guess is, you can attribute to a lot of footballers, but most footballers aren't necessarily insolent, they're just thick. A lot of football, you know, let's be honest, let's cut the bullshit. Footballers are stupid. We all know that. A lot of Premier League footballers are fucking thick as shit. But they're not insolent. They're not, you know, they treat their elders, so to speak, you know, they treat the managers with respect. Footballers on this, especially on this game, and I'm going to, actually, I'll go on to that, I'm not going to go on a rant, but yeah, that's one thing. I've noticed the lack of respect the players give you. I don't know about you, but they seem to really give you a lot of shit. Wayne Rooney has retired. He left like a month before he was due to retire, since his contract was up, and he was going to retire like a week later anyway. So a few loan players. I've let Angelo Benchivenga go on for £2 million to Wigan. It made a £2 million profit on him. He was okay, to be fair to him. He was just sort of, I don't know, I couldn't really find a good place for him. Let's Drame go here. This was interesting because they put a bid in, and I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I'll take it, because, you know, I made a slight profit on him, and he wasn't struggling or anything to get in the team, but he was certainly, you know, someone who I wouldn't put at the forefront, you know. Like, I'd have Higatsi, and I'd have Dawson, and I'd have Duncan, I'd have Custers now, and all these, but then Drame would be like 4th or 5th, 6th choice. So it's like, ooh, I'd rather sell them on, make a little bit of money, and free the squad. Because one thing I need to do, and as you can tell from this massive list, I needed to free the squad up. And a lot of this now is either loans or freebies, and a lot of them are just reserve players. One thing I'm noticing, because it's FMC, is a lot of youth players come to me, and they'll go, I want first team football. And I'm like, do you? Fuck off. And I release them, literally. I like to think basically like it would actually, you know, click on, you know, you'd sort of knock them on the head and say, you come to me, you're getting sacked. Because a lot of them now, because like 20 are like approaching 20 years old, and then they're like, oh, I can't have first team football, and I'm looking at the report and it's like half a star, and I'm like, no, you can't, bugger off. So yeah, I've let a few other players go on loan. The next one, let's see, and I sold Duchamp. I've just sold him, as you can see, on the 1st of February there, to Everton. I wanted a little bit more for him. I only managed to sell him for 1.6 million. I got him on a free, so it's a profit either way. And he scored on his debut. You're joking me, for Everton. Oh my god. He was okay again. There's nothing wrong with him. He was just, I couldn't find a spot on him for the team because the squad's so big. And as I mentioned before, this is the hardest thing when you get to this level on the game. Now, you know, when you start challenging for the titles and getting into the Champions League, the hardest part of the game is your man management skills. Easily the hardest, because you just, you know, you got these players left, right, and centre coming in, and chances are you're probably going to have a big squad, and you are going to need a big squad to manage the 4 competitions you're in. You're in Europe, you're in the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the Premier League, or you know, anything else, and potentially, you know, a Super Cup and a World Club Championships. That's 6 potentially if you win it. You know, win the Champions League. So, you know, there's a lot going on there. Anyway, players are brought in. This first one is a wonder kid called Claudio Campos. He is in reserves at the moment. He's only 17. Has very good potential though. 5 stars, in fact. 5-star potential. You don't see that very often, but we've got 2 strikers here with 5-star potential. Next one, brought in, and I'll show you. I'll just show you real quick how I do find these players. In a moment, a lot of people say, "How do you find these amazing regens?" You know, some work, some don't. You know, you just got to take a chance on them. And this is Lombardi, 4.5-star. Nuno Nunes from Benfica. Who we're going to be playing in the Champions League, incidentally. So we did make it through the group stage, just to point that out. He has 4.5-star potential. He's a centre mid. Nowakowski. Now, this is someone who I brought in. He's quite young. He's only 23, but he is established first team, and he has 4-star potential. As you can see, he's been in the team. He's got 5 assists with 2 goals. So, yeah, he's done all right. Nicola. Now, this is interesting. Nicolo Guglielmi, I think his name was, or Guglielmi. I'm not too sure how to pronounce that. It's a very strange name. You know what? I'm just going to call him Dickhead. You know what? Yeah, we'll just call him. No, in fact, we're going to set a nickname for him. Hang on. Caps lock. Oh, if you're going to buy an Apple keyboard, don't. The crap. Right. There you go. That's what I'm going to call him because he's an insolent little fuck. He's played plenty of games. You know, he's played 11 games. That's plenty, in my opinion, for someone, you know, who. Hang on. You know, he's 24, not exactly the best player in the world, but he's okay. And he still insists on wanting and complaining and bitching to me about how he wants first team football. And quite honestly, I don't want a piece of shit like that in my team. So you even look at it, he's looking, even there, he looks confused. He doesn't like know what he wants to do. Look at his face, he looks confused. Look, I'm staring at you now. It's as if I'm talking to him, and he's an incredibly cheeky player, and honestly I don't want pieces of shit like this in my team, so he can bugger off. I'm trying to sell him, but the other teams are taking me for a fucking joke, to be honest, because I'm getting the whole 48 month thing again, where you know, play like a team will offer, I want £10 million from so I'll make a £10 million profit, why not? And what happened was, I think Liverpool offered 3 million up front and then 10 million over 48 months. I'm like, get to fuck. No chance. Absolutely no chance. I don't want £10 million over 8 months. That's going to, you know, especially when you consider the one I've just spent, which obviously you'll see in a moment, or if you've looked ahead, you know, you will see what I've spent. So the other teams took me as a fucking joke. No one wanted to pay £10 million up front, or even, you know, a decent figure. I wouldn't mind if it was, say, £7 million up front and 3 million over 48 months. I wouldn't mind that. But no, little knobhead's taking me for an absolute joke. So fuck him. This is Timo Werner. He's been a bit unlucky. He's injured at the moment, but he isn't that great. I've barely given him any. Yeah, look at that. He's made non-competitive. He's made 1 European appearance and 1 off the subs bench. He's got 1 assist. He's a striker, but I don't know why I brought him in. He's not very good. Wellington. This is a Brazilian wonder kid, 18 years old. You always got to get excited when you see 5-star Brazilian wonder kids. You know you're going to get excited when you see that. John Ruddick. Now this, me thinking here was right. I think me thinking may get a bit lost in translation, but bear with me. Jack Butland. Right, my problem was I currently have 2 young keepers, and Jack Butland is still pretty young, even in 2021 for a goalkeeper. You know, because he could play until he's 39 or 40. You know, a lot of outfield players don't do that. But he's a goalkeeper, so they generally play on. And I thought, okay, well, it's no good having 2 young goalkeepers, you know, having a 19-year-old or a 16-year-old coming through, and then the senior goalkeeper being 26. It doesn't really work like that. So I thought I'll bring in an older goalkeeper, maybe could even replace Butland for the next 3 or 4 years, let Butland mature a little bit, get a bit more experience, and then by the time Ruddy retires, or the experienced goalkeeper, whoever it is, by the time he retires, Jack Butland will be able to fill that void, you know. So the thinking there was sound. Unfortunately, John Ruddy is absolutely pants. He's terrible. Look, he's conceded 20 goals in 9 appearances. His average rating is 6.6. He's had 1 clean sheet. And you'll be able to tell, when I go over the fixtures in a minute, you'll be able to tell when he was in goal, just to point out. And I paid £7 million for him. To be fair, he was like the best on an offer, or the one I knew. You know, he was like the best on offer within a reasonable price range. Everyone else wanted like 12, 13, 14, 15 million for a goalkeeper. I'm like, I'm not spending that much money for like 6 years worth, or not even 6 years, probably like 3 years worth of service. But the big one I've spent here in January, I haven't really splashed out properly on a player yet. I mean, I've bought Custers, who was £8.5 million, but that isn't really splashing out. So I thought, you know what, I've got £32 million in the bank. Or I think it was 31 actually, but big deal, 1 million. And I thought, okay, look, I need another striker. Wilfred Zaha's on international duty at the African Cup of Nations. Werner is out. Wellington, although he's come in, is getting a bit tired because he's playing so many games. And that's all I got. I've got Will Buckley, who can play it from, but he's not a natural striker. So I did the only choice thing. And then he's bringing this regen here. This is Mohamed Atalay. He's from Liverpool. And as you can see, his name doesn't exactly fit on the shirt there. He's Turkish, but he played for Liverpool and he scored quite a few goals against me. He was there for 2 seasons, £14 million, 18 goals as you can see in his first season. He was halfway through there. I think he was injured for a bit, which explains that little dip. But he's come in and he scored 4 goals straight away, 2 in the league, 2 in the cup, got 1 assist and a player of the match. So it looks like a good little buy already for £20.5 million. That is a club record. The thing as well, I should point out, he always seemed to pop up on my sort of thing. Anytime Liverpool would play and they'd score, it was him. He was always the one. And naturally, I'm going to have a little bit of bias to go towards Liverpool. So yeah, just want to point out. So this guy hopefully could be my replacement for Wayne Rooney, who did me well for like 3 or 4 or 5 years. And yeah, I think that's about it. So his report's pretty good. He's got 4.5-star potential. 4-star ability, potential 4.5. He could possibly get better, I don't know, but he's very, very good, and he can play in a lot. He can play a CF, poacher, an AF, or a DLF. So yeah, now I'm going to show you real quick, just before we go over the fixtures and stuff, how I find these regens. So as you can see there, Crofts is unhappy. Now this is another thing. Crofts is unhappy. He's 36, wants to go on loan. He's 36. He's complaining about not getting first team football. A 36-year-old backup complaining about not getting first team football. I'm a thing to the club. Look, report. Look at that. No real future of the club. He still complains. I know footballers think highly of themselves, but come on, taking the piss. Yeah, I'm loyal. Bollocks. Will Buckley, unfortunately, I've not been able to find a place for him in the team anymore. Dandruff as well is the same. And obviously, this dickhead. But yeah, I'll just show you real quick. Basically, what I do is how I do it. So you have all these conditions. If you want to know how I get all this, you just go to add condition and you've got all the list here. I go to transfer status. This is how I find transfer listed players, by the way, and generally how you find players to pick up. So what I do is go to transfer listed, go to value, and there it is, and you've got all the list of players there. And I'd personally list them by value or recommendation. So, and you've got this guy here, 24 years old. Okay, he's going to cost a lot of money, but what you do, click on his names, especially if he's transfer listed. Sometimes you can get them at a price. Obviously, I'm not going to go in for this guy since he's injured for 4 to 5 months. That's the whole season. Roma at £126.5 million. That is that can either be higher or lower. Sometimes considerably lower. At the same time here, higher than their actual value. Sometimes players just club wants to get rid of a player because he's causing them too much flack, like Wanker over there. But for youngsters, what I do is I get the age thing. I get the age between. I usually just go from just for simplicity, let's go with 15 to say 18. And then you have a recommendation. If you have your scouts, you've got to have your scouts out, and usually the scouts will be automatically assigned to a nation or something at one point. And basically you come up with all these. Now, and then what I do is, if you look at a player who hasn't turned professional yet, let's take this guy here. No, this guy, okay. Generally, if they have a youth thing next to them, chances are you'll be able to snap them up for very, very cheap. Like, you can just offer them a pre-contract, and then you give the club, say, £1 million compensation, and you've got the player. So it's like a potential world beater for a young age for £1 million. So I don't. Yeah, let's see. And if you right click it, go to contracts, approach the sign, and you could potentially offer. I'm not going to go in for one now since I'm alright. I don't need one, but you know, that is usually it. And obviously sometimes you can be able to buy them as well. But usually what I do is I seek out the ones that haven't actually been offered the professional contract yet. And what you do is you right click them, and if there's a contracts tab there, click that and you approach the sign, and you can offer them a contract. Sometimes they turn you down because they're loyal to the club or whatever, but generally that's what I do if they have not been offered the professional contract yet. Now I'm not sure if actually, yeah, you can just do this. This is even easier if you just go to contract status and youth. Just keep adding the conditions, make it as as basic or as complex as you want. And basically, you can have a list, and obviously not all of them. You know, some of them are going to be offered professional contracts. The really good ones are going to be snapped up really quick. So you've got to be real quick. And yeah, or you can take the age off completely and just have youth. You know, and you could potentially seek out a 14-year-old, a very rare 14. I mean, look at this guy. You know, he's obviously been snapped up real quick. I'm just pointing out there, but 1.2 million, and that's a value at 15. He's going to be a brilliant centre back if we continue playing this game. He's going to be one of the top stars in the world in about maybe 10 years' time. So we've got this guy over here. You know, he's 4-star potential. Obviously, he's 5-star potential. He's 5-star potential. 4.5-star potential. You know, you see what I'm getting at. So that's generally what I do to find these regens. So just to go over that, I might make a separate video of this in the future if you guys want it. But a lot of people are asking, and I thought I'd just show you that real quick. So yeah, let's go over the fixtures then. So slight delay there, but for the fixtures. But yeah, a lot of people are asking that, and hopefully you've picked up something there as well. So we had a great start. Now, we had a great start, and you'll be able to see the, and as I say, see when John Ruddy is in goal. So he's in goal here. Carl Norton have an absolute shocker, but never mind. As we beat Tottenham at the Amex 4-3, first game of the season. I'm not going to show you all the goals because this episode will be about an hour long. But I'll just show you, the times and stuff. I don't want to show you the goals here. But we were actually 3-0 down. A Skilfie Sigurdsson hat-trick, believe it or not, inside 13 minutes. Don't ask me where that came from. But yeah, he piled in these goals. And then we came back and Lazar Markovic gave us the victory. 85th minute. Absolutely astonishing game. I was going mental when that Markovic goal went in. And we had another crazy game, 5-4 against Galatasaray. We actually got beat here. Chadley, Ganso and Markovic with 2, but it still wasn't enough. We obviously were better, man, because we finished 4th last season. We have to go to the Champions League and ultimately, excuse me, we have to obviously play the playoff here, 4th best playoff or whatever it's called. And yeah, it's crazy. Again, we were like 3-0 down inside 10 minutes or 12, 13 minutes. And 4-0 down actually inside 40 minutes, but we brought it back, and then, yeah, it's just crazy game. But we then played Stoke. Markovic again scoring. He had a great start, did Markovic. But we took them back to the Amex and battered them 3-0, which was thankful, as Digne, Ward-Prowse and Markovic scoring. 1-1 against Millwall, where we seems to stumble over the slightly, weaker clubs sort of. Well, Millwall now they're not completely established, but on this now they're sort of established. They're sort of where Stoke were about 3 years ago, where they're sort of established, not quite there yet, but pretty much established now, and they are an established Premier League club. 2-1 against Blackburn. Digne scored an own goal. Markovic missed the penalty, but James Ward-Prowse got us the goal there and an own goal. So yeah, crazy game that one. Jack Bolton obviously coming in at this point, and as you can see, I had a bad feeling about John Ruddy. He let in 8 goals in 2 games, wasn't exactly happy about it. So this is our Champions League group. Then we had a good start against Anderlecht, 4-1. Markovic again scoring 2, Ganso and Cuenca with the goals. We then also, as you can see, finished second this time. Not the best in the world, but we played Paris Saint-Germain at the Amex, and Marin and Ganso with the 2 goals. Wellington got his, I think that may have been his first goal against Atletico Madrid. Should have won that really, but Castano there, as you can see, 82nd minute goal. Little bit disappointing, but at that point I wasn't too disappointed. And we actually went to Spain and won very nicely. Custis, Chadley and Marin with the winners. Winning goals, and then Mickey Ferrer. At this point we were already qualified, so I played a weak team, and again ultimately played a weak team in Paris. But Mickey Ferrer there, who's a top quality regen, only young as well, giving us a late point there at in Belgium, and obviously ultimately went down in Paris. But ultimately it was a decent try from the youngsters. Now Wachowski got his first goal against Wigan, for the team against Wigan. Wilfred Zaha scoring. And we lost, strangely. I played a weak team here against QPR. Tried Liam Bridcut at right back, and that was a fail. As you can see, Wanker didn't particularly impress either. Claudio Campos scored, and that actually gave us the lead at that time. And I thought, here we go, happy days. We've got a good load of youngsters here. And then John Ruddy was in goal, and everything fell apart. 3-1 against Newcastle. Ganso, Marin, and Markovic. The main three or main 4 or 5 players. You can start to see scoring now. 0-0, a decent result against United. John Ruddy was in goal and actually had a decent performance. So even Wanker had a decent performance. But I think Kakuta probably shouldn't have done, but I think a lot of players were tired at this point. Obviously, playing on the Tuesday, and we had to play United on the Saturday, and all this, and that 2-0 victory did take quite a lot out of them. We went to Anfield, won 3-1, as you can see from the table. Liverpool aren't doing too good. They're like 13th or something at this point, and they're not doing too well. Ganso, Marin, and Zaha this time. 4-3 against Southampton. A great victory there over the rivals. John Ruddy yet again having a poor game, when you can start to see why I think John Ruddy is not really a good idea to bring in. Marin, Nowakowski, Zaha, and own goal gave us the victory there. 3-1 against West Brom. Dunk, Marin, and Cuenca were the goals. And unfortunately, we had to go to London twice to play Arsenal and Chelsea. Zaha got us a goal, but unfortunately, Jack Butland didn't have too good a game. And we went down to Arsenal 2-1, and also went down 2-1 to Chelsea. Wellington came off the bench and scored. It's brought them off for Wanker, and with a rating of 6 there. Again, not particularly impressive. 2-0 against West Ham. This was really good. Marco Marin and an own goal. 2-1 against Forest. Wanker actually got his first goal for the club there, Guglielmi, so fair play to him. Zaha and obviously getting us the winner. 1-0 against Cardiff, Zaha scoring again. I'm not going to do the thing I did last time when Zaha scored like 5 games in a row. Marin and Markovic, M&M. There you go, good partnership. 2-0 victory over Sunderland. And unfortunately, we lost to City. Ganso did score, but unfortunately, did they not make any subs? Oh shit! Yeah, that was right. I forgot to make the subs, didn't I? The game went quick. I remember this game. I couldn't make any subs because the game basically zoomed on. When it sometimes does that. Where like say you're in the 70th minute, I'm like, oh, I'll make a change now, and I clicked the tactics, and it just the timer just zoomed right up to like the 89th minute. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? So by the time I go in to make the changes, the game was over. It was just weird. You might, if you watch some of the live commentaries, it has actually happened before where I'll be like, whoa, what's going on? Ganso got us 2, very very good. One was the game against Everton there. Aston Villa 2-1, going to Villa Park. Markovic scoring 2, and then battering Stoke 4-0. Markovic, Marin, and Bruma and an own goal got us the victory there. 1-0 against Tottenham. It was a big game. Jeffrey Bruma against Tottenham there, and QPR. This is in the FA Cup 3rd round. So Buckley, Gautier, and Nunez penalty gave us the victory there. 1-0 against Millwall. Guglielmi scoring, whatever. Wellington got it. I'll show you this. This is then the Brazilian wonder kid. I haven't shown you a goal yet, but as I say, I don't want to show too many goals as this episode will be absolutely massive. It'll probably be about half an hour. And I realise a lot of people like the longer episodes, but it is a bit of a pain for me sometimes as the videos are ginormous in size, and it takes ages to render and obviously upload and so on. So just bear that in mind sometimes, But and yeah, so that was Wellington's first goal or league goal, I think, or winning goal, you want to call it that. Hopefully there'll be many more. What I'm like with Brazilian wonder kids. Cough cough, Redinho. A good victory over Wigan. And as you can see here from this Man City loss, we've gone on a great clutch of victories, and that continued with the 5-2 thrashing of Birmingham. Mohamed Attalay, there you go, he came in there. Debut. He actually played for Liverpool the previous night in the Capital One Cup semi-finals, but we brought him in and he scored 2 on his debut against Birmingham. So I'll show you them 2 goals real quick. Really good stuff from Attalay, the Turk, and hopefully if we can get say 10 to 12 years out of him, I will be very very happy indeed. There's that Michael Lum who were brought in for Southampton. Didn't have a particularly good game there, did he? That's not a good thing for for the future. Also, if you haven't seen the episode yet, I might have actually pre-recorded that, I'm not sure. But yeah, I've brought in a player called Michael Lum, if you haven't seen it. And there's Athlete. Why? Is it me or the numbers look weird? Whatever. Anyway, yeah, so a little bit lucky there, but nevertheless, that was his first goal. And I'll show you this one now. Go away, pinwheel. And as you can see here, poor play there from Lum. Gives it to Markovic, and Attalay fires it in for another debut goal. And unfortunately, that was the run over from Manchester to Manchester, basically. Craig Dawson fired us in front against United at Old Trafford, but unfortunately we didn't do too well. And then, but we got things right back on track. Atale scoring again to get the double with Marco Marin scoring. And then Liverpool, 3-0. Marin, Wellington and Custers scoring. In fact, I will show you these goals now, since I know it's like goals against Liverpool, whatever. I didn't play. Atale came on right at the end. He was a bit tired. He's been playing a lot of games at that time. Obviously he wasn't completely match. Well, he was match fit, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He was match fit, but things were starting to take his toll on him because he played so many games. Pepe Reina, I don't know what happened there. It's typical Pepe Reina. It looks like he's going to go to Barcelona, and quite frankly, if we can get a decent money out of him, I'll be very happy. Good header there from Custers. If we can get good money for Pepe Reina, I'll happily take it. And if we can get, say, £15 million for him, I'll take that. Hopefully we can get Jack Butland, and I mean that really, not just because he's playing for me on the save. I actually do mean, can we get Jack Butland? I think he's, why not? He's got good potential. Maybe, I think there's a lad from. Oh, where is it? I've forgotten. We are looking at another goalkeeper, and that is a super header from Wellington. But that's in real life, of course. We are looking at another goalkeeper. I forget where from. Europe somewhere. He's European anyway, so that's all I can remember. But there's the final goals, and as you see Wellington morphing into a very good deep lying forward for us there, 18-year-old Brazilian. So, so as you can see, that run basically at this point we were doing okay. And obviously, we'd lost to Arsenal and Chelsea and had, a few blotches along the way. But overall, we were about third, I think. And we were about 6 points off the pace off United. They were at the top. But ever since going on this run, we've recovered and actually got to the top now. We're 2 points ahead of Chelsea. United have slipped away a bit. And as you can see, we have. Although we've taken away a lot of the draws, we've sort of split them between wins and losses now, whichever way you look at it. More losses and wins more is better than more draws. You lose more, but you win more. I'll let you make up your mind with that one. Anyway, that's going to do it from me. I'll be back with the season review then very soon. So take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.